If you're so smart, park my luxury car. Millionaire mocked the doorman and was shocked. Tyler Anderson was having the worst month of his business life. At 32, he watched his delivery app empire crumble as investors cancelled meetings and employees resigned. The arrogance that had always followed him now served as a shield against the looming reality. It was on a Tuesday morning that he arrived at the Skyline Tower business building in New York City, driving his silver Tesla as if it were the last symbol of his success. As he stopped in front of the entrance, he didn't even glance at the approaching doorman. He simply tossed the keys to the man in the dark red uniform and said disdainfully, "If you're as smart as you look, you should be able to park this $500,000 machine. Just don't scratch it. It's worth more than 10 years of your salary." The doorman, a man around 60, caught the keys in silence. His eyes, however, gleamed with something Tyler couldn't decipher. Maybe it was resignation, maybe something deeper. "Of course, Mr. Anderson. I'll take good care of your vehicle," the man replied in a calm, polite voice. Tyler didn't even wait for a response. He was already walking toward the elevators, checking messages on his phone, when he heard the smooth purr of the engine starting. Something about that sound made him pause. It was different, more controlled, more professional. When he turned, he saw the doorman adjusting the mirrors with precise movements, like someone who knew every detail of that kind of car. His hands didn't tremble, as Tyler expected from a simple man faced with such an expensive machine. "Strange," he muttered to himself, but quickly dismissed the thought. The elevator arrived, and Tyler went up to the 20th floor, where he had rented an office in a desperate attempt to save his business. The meeting with potential investors was scheduled for 10 in the morning, and he needed to be at his best. 40 minutes later, Tyler came down irritated. The meeting had been a disaster. The investors didn't even bother to hear his full presentation before politely declining the offer. He needed the car for another appointment, a desperate attempt to secure a loan. "Hey, my car!" he shouted at the doorman, who was sorting mail at the reception desk. "Of course, Mr. Anderson, just a moment, please." The older man walked to the garage with steady steps. Tyler followed impatiently, drumming his fingers against his leg. He needed that bank meeting to go well, otherwise. His thoughts were interrupted when he saw his Tesla being maneuvered with impressive precision. The doorman was parallel parking into a spot that seemed impossible, between two cars, with just inches to spare. And it wasn't just the precision that stood out, it was the technique. Tyler knew cars. He had grown up participating in amateur racing before fully committing to business. This wasn't the driving of an ordinary person. The doorman used a technique only professional drivers knew, controlling the wheel with micro movements that came from years of experience. "How does he—" Tyler murmured, but didn't finish the sentence. The doorman stepped out of the car with the same calm as before, but now Tyler noticed details he had ignored. The upright posture, the way he closed the door with just the right pressure, how he checked that the car was properly locked. "Here are your keys, Mr. Anderson," the man said, handing them over with a small smile. That's when Tyler saw it. On the ring finger of the doorman's right hand was a class ring, gold, with a blue stone in the center, identical to the one he wore himself. "That ring," Tyler began, but was interrupted. "Mechanical Engineering, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, class of 1985, said the doorman calmly. "I imagine you recognize the design." Tyler felt the world spin slightly. His own ring was from 1985, the same university, the same program. He had graduated very young, at just 21, thanks to a special program for gifted students. But he didn't remember that man. You studied engineering at MIT?" "I did, and I graduated with honors, just like you, as I recall." Tyler Anderson always stood out in the automotive systems class. The doorman's voice now sounded different. Gone was the forced deference from before. There was familiarity. "I'm sorry, I don't remember you." "No problem. We were in different circles. I graduated a few years before you really started attending classes in person. My name is William Cooper." The name didn't spark any immediate memories for Tyler, but something deep in his mind began to stir. An uneasy feeling, as if there were a missing piece to a puzzle. "Well, I need to go," said Tyler, still unsettled. "Thanks for parking the car." "Always at your service, Mr. Anderson." Tyler got into the Tesla and left the garage with his mind in turmoil. The entire drive to the bank, he couldn't shake the doorman from his thoughts. There was something about that man that deeply unsettled him, but he couldn't pinpoint what. The meeting at the bank was even worse than the last one. The manager didn't even bother hiding his disinterest, informing Tyler that his risk profile was too high for any significant loan. Leaving there, Tyler tasted real despair for the first time. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us newcomers a lot. Now back to the story. Back at the Skyline Tower, Tyler watched the doorman with new eyes. William was helping an elderly woman with her groceries, carrying heavy bags to the elevator with care and patience. There was nothing servile in his gestures, just genuine kindness. "William," Tyler called, approaching. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mr. Anderson." "How does an MIT engineer end up working as a doorman?" William smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes. "Life sometimes takes us down paths we didn't plan, doesn't it? You probably know that better than anyone, considering the rumors circulating about your company." Tyler felt his face grow hot, so even the doorman knew about his troubles. "Did you work in the field?" "I did. I had my own tech company for 15 years. We developed industrial automation systems. At one point, we had over 200 employees." "What happened?" William looked away as if reliving painful memories. "Betrayal. People I trusted decided it was more profitable to sabotage me than compete fairly. I lost everything in a matter of months." Tyler felt a chill down his spine. There was something familiar about that story, but he still couldn't connect the dots. That must have been terrible. It was. But life goes on, Mr. Anderson. I've learned our worth as people isn't measured by our bank accounts or the cars we drive. The words hit Tyler like a punch to the gut. It was exactly what he needed to hear, but he wasn't ready to accept it yet. In the following days, Tyler began observing William with growing curiosity. The man always arrived 15 minutes early for his shift and stayed 15 minutes late. He knew every resident and staff member in the building by name. He solved problems with impressive efficiency. On Thursday, the main elevator broke down right at lunchtime. Tyler was coming down the stairs when he heard William on the intercom, coordinating the repair operation like a true executive. "The issue is in the secondary circuit of the control panel on the 15th floor," William was telling the technician. "If you isolate the blue and red wires, you can restore basic functionality until the replacement parts arrive." Within 20 minutes, the elevator was working again. The technician, an experienced man, seemed impressed by William's knowledge. "Man, you really know your stuff. Ever worked with elevators before?" "A bit of everything over the years," William replied modestly. That night, Tyler couldn't sleep. There was something about William that deeply unsettled him. He decided to look him up online. William Cooper, engineer, New York City. The search results left him stunned. Several tech magazine articles from the 2000s mentioned William Cooper as one of the country's most promising young entrepreneurs. His company, Tech Fusion, had been a pioneer in automation systems and even competed with multinational corporations. But there was more. A 2008 article covered the scandal that destroyed Tech Fusion: accusations of intellectual property theft, lawsuits, a spectacular downfall. And in the middle of the article, a detail that made Tyler's blood run cold. One of the main investors who withdrew support from the company at the time was a fund in which Tyler's father was a partner. The memories started flooding back. Tyler had been just 23 at the time, fresh out of college and already working with his father. He vaguely recalled conversations about eliminating a troublesome competitor and teaching those arrogant newcomers a lesson. He'd never cared about the details. He was young, ambitious, and thought it was all just part of the business world. Now, 20 years later, he was face to face with one of the victims of those decisions. On Friday, Tyler arrived at the building earlier than usual. He wanted to talk to William, but didn't know how to bring it up. How do you apologize for something that happened 2 decades ago, something you barely remembered? William was watering the plants by the entrance when Tyler approached. "Good morning, Mr. Anderson. You're early today." "William, I looked you up online." William's face showed no surprise. "I imagine you found some interesting things. Why did you never say who you really were?" William stopped watering the plants and looked directly at Tyler. "And what difference would it make? Would it change how you treat me? Would it make my financial problems disappear? Would it bring my company back? But you were a successful entrepreneur. How can you accept working as a doorman? Honest work doesn't dishonor anyone, Mr. Anderson, and I've learned that our worth isn't in the titles we hold, but in the character we show." Tyler felt small in the face of such wisdom. "William, I think my family, my father, might have been involved in what happened to your company." "I know." The 2 words landed like bombs in the morning silence. "You know, Mr. Anderson, I recognized your last name the day you moved in. Anderson and Associates was the name of the investment fund that orchestrated my downfall. Your father, Robert Anderson, was the lead partner." Tyler's legs felt weak. He leaned against the building's wall. "And yet you've always treated me well. Why?" "Because a father's mistakes aren't the son's responsibility, and because holding on to bitterness only hurts the one who holds it. But I treated you poorly. I was arrogant, rude. You were going through a hard time. People in despair sometimes act in ways that don't reflect who they really are." At that moment, Tyler realized he was standing before a man far greater than he could ever hope to be. William had lost everything because of Tyler's family, yet still found the strength to forgive and move forward with dignity. "William, I want to do something to make it right." "There's no need, Mr. Anderson. What's done is done. But I insist. Let me help you in some way." William smiled sadly. "The best way to help me is by learning from your own mistakes before it's too late." The words struck Tyler deeply. William knew exactly what he was going through, and instead of taking satisfaction in the downfall of his tormentor's son, he offered wisdom. Over the weekend, Tyler couldn't focus on anything else. He kept thinking about William, his own arrogance, and the cruel irony of having humiliated the very person who could teach him the most about resilience and dignity. On Monday, he arrived at the building determined to set things right, but William wasn't there. In his place, a young woman in a blue uniform manned the front desk. "Where's William?" Tyler asked, concerned. "Mr. Cooper? He asked for a few days off, said he had some matters to take care of." Tyler felt a pang of panic. What if William had quit his job? What if he'd decided to leave New York City? There were so many things Tyler wanted to say, so many questions he needed to ask. The days dragged on. Tyler tried to focus on saving his company, but his mind kept returning to William. On Wednesday, he received a call that would change everything. "Mr. Anderson, this is the State Department of Education. Do you have any connection to Mr. William Cooper?" "Yes, we know each other." "Why?" "He listed you as a reference for a project he's proposing. We'd like to speak with you about it." An hour later, Tyler was sitting in a room at the Department of Education, listening to a project that left him speechless. William had proposed creating a free technical course in industrial automation for low-income youth, drawing on his own experience and knowledge. "The project is very solid," the coordinator explained. "Mr. Cooper demonstrates exceptional technical expertise and a well-structured educational proposal. But we need financial guarantees to set up the lab." How much would be needed? "About $200,000 for equipment and initial infrastructure." Tyler didn't hesitate. "I'll fund it." "Are you sure? That's a considerable amount." "I'm absolutely sure." It was nearly all he had left in personal savings, but Tyler knew it was the right thing to do. For the first time in months, he felt like one of his decisions truly mattered. On Thursday, William returned to work. Tyler had been waiting for him at the front desk since early morning. "William, we need to talk." "Of course, Mr. Anderson. Is something wrong?" "The Department of Education called me." William's expression tightened. "Mr. Anderson, I can explain. There's no need to explain. I want to be part of the project. What do you mean? I want to be your partner. I want to help set up this technical course. William looked at him in surprise. Mr. Anderson, you don't have to... It's not about obligation, William. It's about doing what's right. My father may have destroyed your company, but I want to help build something new. Are you sure? Your own business is struggling. My business can wait. This is more important. William fell silent for a long moment, studying Tyler's face. Why are you doing this? Because you taught me something I'd forgotten. That our worth as people isn't measured by what we have, but by what we're able to give to others. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, in the following days, Tyler discovered a side of William he never imagined existed. The man who quietly worked as a doorman was, in fact, a born educator. He had detailed plans not just for the technical course, but for an entire professional training network that could transform the lives of hundreds of young people. Look, Tyler, William said, pointing to the technical sketches spread across the table in the building's cafe where they now often talked. The problem isn't a lack of job opportunities. The problem is a lack of proper qualifications. These kids have potential. They just need guidance and tools. Tyler watched William with growing admiration. The man spoke passionately about education, sketched complex projects from memory, and showed a deep understanding not just of technology, but of social issues. How do you know so much about teaching? Did you study that too? Not formally, but when you lose everything and have to start over, you end up learning a lot. I worked at technical schools, took some training courses. I've always loved teaching. And you always dreamed of having your own school? William smiled wistfully. I always dreamed of making a difference in someone's life. When I had my company, I thought that's what I was doing. Later, I realized the real difference sometimes happens in much simpler ways. The following week, they visited the space the Department of Education had made available for the project together. It was an abandoned warehouse in Yonkers, on the outskirts of New York City. Spacious, but in need of serious repairs. This'll take a lot of work, Tyler remarked, eyeing the peeling walls and leaky ceiling. It will. But look at the potential, William said, pointing to the corners of the warehouse, already envisioning the school in operation. Over there we can set up the pneumatics workshop, in the back would be the electronics lab, and this central area would be perfect for theory classes. Tyler was starting to see through William's eyes. The abandoned warehouse transformed into a vibrant school, full of young people learning, growing, and building a better future. William, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you have family? I have a daughter, Rachel. She teaches math at a public school. Does she know about your business past? William chuckled softly. She went through the whole downfall with me, Tyler. She was only 15 when we lost the house, the car, everything. One of the hardest things in my life was watching my daughter change schools, lose her friends, and adapt to a completely different reality. Was she angry? At first, yes. Mostly at me. She thought I'd been naive, that I should have protected us better. It took her years to understand that we can't always control what happens to us. And now? Now she's my biggest supporter. When I told her about the technical school project, she was the first to say I should go for it. Tyler felt a pang of envy. His own relationship with his family had been strained for years. Since his business started failing, his wife Jennifer had grown distant, and his 18-year-old daughter Emma barely spoke to him. It must be nice to have that kind of support. It's everything. Family is what keeps you standing when everything else falls apart. William's words echoed in Tyler's mind the whole way home. When he arrived, he found Jennifer packing her bags. Where are you going? To my mother's. For a few weeks. Because of the money problems? Jennifer stopped folding clothes and looked at him. Tyler, it's not just about the money. It's about who you've become. You're bitter, angry all the time. You don't talk to us about anything except work. I'm trying to save our future. No, you're trying to save your ego. And in the process, you're losing your family. The words stung because they were true. Tyler realized that over the past few months, He had completely shut out the people he loved most. "Jennifer, wait. Let me tell you about something that's happening." And he told her about William, about the school project, about how he was learning to see life differently. Jennifer listened in silence, and for the first time in months, Tyler saw a spark of interest in his wife's eyes. "You're really going to invest everything in this?" "I am. I know it sounds crazy, but it doesn't sound crazy. It sounds like the first sensible thing you've done in a long time." Jennifer unpacked her bags that night, not because their problems were solved, but because she had glimpsed a bit of the man she'd fallen in love with 20 years earlier. The next day, Tyler arrived at the building eager to share the news with William. He found him talking to a young woman at the front desk. "Tyler, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Rachel." The woman, around 35, extended her hand with a warm smile. "Nice to meet you. My father speaks highly of you." "I hope only good things," Tyler joked. "Only good things. He told me about the school project. I think it's a wonderful idea." "Rachel came with some news," William said, smiling. "What news?" "The school where I work has some old lab equipment they're discarding," Rachel explained. "Equipment that would be perfect for you. I can arrange for it to be donated to the project." Tyler felt a wave of gratitude. Things were falling into place almost magically. "That's fantastic. It'll save a lot of the budget." "And there's more," Rachel continued. "Some of my fellow teachers are interested in the project. They'd like to volunteer." William looked at his daughter with pride. "You see, Tyler, when we do something for others, people step up to help." That afternoon, they visited the school where Rachel worked. It was a modest municipal institution, but Tyler was struck by the welcoming atmosphere and the teachers' enthusiasm. "Our biggest challenge here," Rachel explained as she showed them around, "is that many of our students graduate high school without real prospects for vocational training. They want to work, but they can't find opportunities to learn a trade." "That's exactly what we want to fix," Tyler said. "That's why we're so excited about your project. It'll bridge the gap between basic education and the job market." As they talked, Tyler noticed something interesting. Rachel had her father's expressive eyes, the same calm voice, the same ability to see solutions where others saw only problems. "Rachel," Tyler said suddenly, "would you like to be our educational coordinator?" William and Rachel exchanged surprised glances. Well, it would be a dream," Rachel said, "but I'm not sure I have enough experience." "You have something more important than experience," Tyler replied. "You have passion and you know the students we want to help." William smiled proudly. "I think it's an excellent idea. But I'd have to leave my current job." "We'd match your current salary, at least to start," Tyler assured her. Rachel looked at her father, who nodded encouragingly. "Then I accept." That night, Tyler came home with an energy he hadn't felt in a long time. He found Jennifer and Emma talking in the kitchen. "How was your day?" Jennifer asked. "Extraordinary. I think I found a new partner for the project." He told them about Rachel, about the donated equipment, about the volunteer teachers. Emma, who had been pretending not to pay attention, put her phone down. "Dad, is this for real? Are you really going to open a school?" "Yes, sweetheart. A technical school for young people from the outskirts." "That's so cool. Can I help?" Tyler was surprised. It had been months since Emma had shown any interest in anything he did. "Of course you can. How?" "I don't know. Maybe with social media, promotion, stuff like that. I'm studying digital marketing in college." "That would be great." For the first time in a long while, the Anderson family came together, talking excitedly about future plans. Tyler realized he had regained something he didn't even know he'd lost, the ability to dream of something bigger than his own problems. The following week, the project began taking shape. William had prepared a detailed schedule for the necessary renovations to the warehouse. Rachel was developing the course curriculum, and Tyler handled the bureaucratic and financial aspects. "We need to think of a name for the school," William said during one of their planning meetings. "How about the William Cooper Institute?" Tyler suggested. No, that would sound too presumptuous." "Popular Technology Institute?" Rachel proposed. "I like it, but it seems a bit generic," Tyler commented. "What about the Fresh Start Institute?" William said. "Everyone who comes here will be starting fresh in life." Tyler and Rachel exchanged glances and smiled at the same time. Perfect, Rachel said. Fresh Start Institute, Tyler repeated. I love it. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Tyler discovered he had much more energy to work when he was doing something he believed in. Mornings were spent on last-ditch efforts to save his app company, but afternoons and evenings were entirely dedicated to the Fresh Start Institute. William proved to be a natural coordinator, organizing schedules, negotiating with suppliers, overseeing renovations, and still finding time to manage the front desk at Skyline Tower. Tyler couldn't understand how the man managed to do so much. William, you need to quit the front desk job and focus only on the institute. Not yet, Tyler. I need to be sure the project will succeed before I give up my current income. But you're working yourself to death. It's not killing me, actually, it gives me energy. It's been a long time since I felt this useful. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot for those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. One morning, Tyler arrived at the building and found William talking to a well-dressed man he didn't recognize. The conversation seemed tense. Good morning, Tyler greeted as he approached. Good morning, Mr. Anderson, William replied, visibly uncomfortable. This is Mr. Richard Wells from Wells & Associates Construction. Tyler greeted the man, who looked at him with interest. Are you William's partner in this technical school project? Yes, I am. Why? Richard smiled in a way Tyler didn't like. Because I have a better offer for you. I'm interested in buying the land where you want to build the school. I'll pay double what you've invested. The land belongs to the Department of Education, William explained. It's not for sale. Everything's for sale, William. You should know that after so many years in business. There was something threatening in Richard's tone that unsettled Tyler. What's your interest in the land? I want to build a shopping center. It would be much more profitable for the area. More profitable for you, William corrected. Listen, William, Richard said, dropping the politeness. You had your chance to be a big shot, and you blew it. Don't make the same mistake again. You're leaving now, said Tyler, stepping between Richard and William. And don't come back here. Richard looked at the two with disdain. You'll come looking for me once you realize you're fighting forces bigger than yourselves. After Richard left, Tyler noticed William seemed more downcast than usual. Do you know that guy? I do. Richard Wells was one of the executives involved in destroying my company 20 years ago. Back then he worked for a group of investors, the same group as your father. Tyler felt a chill down his spine. Do you think he's involved in trying to sabotage our project? I don't know, but him showing up right now can't be a coincidence. That afternoon, Tyler decided to investigate. He made some calls to contacts he still had in the business world and uncovered things that worried him. Richard Wells had become a powerful and unscrupulous businessman, specializing in acquiring public land through questionable methods. William, Tyler said the next day, I think we have a bigger problem than we imagined. He shared what he'd learned about Richard Wells. William listened in silence. Does this change anything for you? William asked when Tyler finished. What do you mean? Knowing we'll face opposition, that it won't be easy, that we might even suffer financial losses. Does it change your willingness to continue with the project? Tyler thought for a moment. It does. William looked at him with disappointment. It makes me even more determined, Tyler added. I won't let that man destroy what we're building like he did to your company in the past. The smile that spread across William's face made all the risks they'd face worth it. In the weeks that followed, the pressure grew. There were issues with permits that had seemed to be progressing smoothly. Suppliers began canceling contracts without convincing explanations, and even the public land grant was suddenly questioned due to unexpected technical reviews. They're using the same tactics from 20 years ago, William remarked after a particularly difficult meeting at the Department of Education. But this time you're not alone, Tyler reminded him. It was true. This time William had allies. Rachel had mobilized a network of teachers and educators who supported the project. Emma was using her digital marketing skills to rally public support on social media, and Jennifer, who had regained faith in her husband, was using her legal connections to shield the project from legal attacks. The tensest moment came on a Thursday morning. Tyler and William were inspecting the warehouse construction when two city inspectors showed up, claiming there were irregularities in the renovations. "You'll have to stop everything," one inspector said. "This project doesn't have the proper permits." "How can that be?" Tyler protested. "All the documents were approved." "There's been a change in regulations. Projects like this now require special permits." William calmly approached the inspectors. "Can I see the documents supporting this regulatory change?" The inspectors exchanged uncomfortable glances. "We don't have them with us." "Then come back when you do," William said politely. "Until then, we'll keep working." "Listen here, mister. William Cooper, MIT-trained engineer and technical lead for this project," William interrupted, showing his credentials. "And you are?" The authority in William's voice was undeniable. The inspectors left grumbling, but promised to return. "How did you know they were bluffing?" Tyler asked. "Because I know every regulation related to educational construction. I studied it all before we started." "Do you always prepare for everything?" "I learned the hard way that we can't leave anything to chance." That night, Tyler received an unexpected call. It was an old client from his app company. "Tyler, I heard you're setting up a technical school." "That's right. Why?" "I run a logistics company that's growing fast. I need automation technicians and can't find any in the market. If your school trains people in this field, I guarantee jobs for every graduate." Tyler could hardly believe it. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. And I know other business owners with the same problem. You could have a waiting list of companies eager to hire your students before they even graduate." When he shared the news with William the next day, the man smiled with satisfaction. "Do you know what this means, Tyler? That we have a guaranteed market?" "No. It means we're doing something truly needed. When you solve a real problem, opportunities come naturally." Things began moving at an astonishing pace. The pressure from Richard Wells continued, but public support for the project grew even faster. Students from public schools started enrolling in the courses before the grand opening. Volunteers came forward offering help. Equipment donations arrived from unexpected places. "It's like the universe is conspiring in our favor," Rachel remarked during a planning meeting. "Not the universe," William said. "It's people. When you offer something that truly makes a difference in others' lives, they give back." Tyler was learning a lesson his business education had never taught him. Doing good could be not just emotionally rewarding, but also strategically smart. The grand opening of the Fresh Start Institute was set for a Monday in September. The week before, Tyler could barely sleep from anxiety and excitement. "What if it doesn't work?" he asked Jennifer the night before. "It will," she replied firmly. "Look at everything you've already achieved. Look at how you've changed these past few months." "How have I changed?" "You've become the man I fell in love with again. Someone who dreams big, but also cares about people." On the morning of the opening, Tyler arrived early at the Institute. He found William already there, putting the final touches on the decorations. "Nervous?" Tyler asked. "A little. You?" "Very, but it's the good kind." By 10 in the morning, people began arriving. Students with their families, volunteer teachers, business owners interested in hiring future graduates, representatives from the Department of Education, community neighbors, and even some journalists Emma had invited. The most emotional moment came when William gave the opening speech. 20 years ago, I lost everything I'd built professionally," he told the attentive crowd. "At the time, I thought it was the end of the world. Today, I understand it was just the end of a chapter, because sometimes you have to lose everything to discover what truly matters." Tyler felt his eyes well up. He glanced around and saw he wasn't the only one. Rachel was crying with pride for her father. Jennifer held Emma's hand, both visibly moved. "The Fresh Start Institute exists because we believe everyone deserves a second chance," William continued. "Some of you are here because you want to learn a trade. Others are here to teach, and others are here to support. But we're all here because we believe knowledge is the most powerful tool to transform lives." When William finished his speech, the crowd erupted in applause. Tyler stepped up to the microphone. "I'd like to say a few words about my partner and friend, William Cooper," he began. "A few months ago, I was an arrogant businessman who thought the world revolved around my success. When I met William, he was a humble doorman I treated with disdain. Today, he's my inspiration and the person who taught me that true success lies in making a difference in others' lives." Tyler looked directly at William before continuing. "William, thank you for giving me the chance to start fresh too." After the official ceremonies, there was a community lunch in the Institute's courtyard. Tyler moved among the groups, chatting with students, parents, and teachers, taking in the atmosphere of celebration and hope. That's when he saw a scene that would stay with him forever. William was in a corner, talking to a skeptical, standoffish teenager. Tyler discreetly moved closer to listen. "My dad says all this is just empty talk," the boy said. "That rich people only help the poor when they want attention." "And what do you think?" William asked, unoffended. "I don't know, never met a rich person worth a damn." "Can I tell you a story?" The boy shrugged but stayed to listen. 20 years ago, I was a wealthy businessman, had a big company, a nice house, an imported car, and I was just as arrogant as your dad said, thought I was better than everyone. So what happened? I lost everything, became poor overnight, and you know what I learned? What? That it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. What matters is what kind of person you choose to be. I've met bad poor people and bad rich people, but I've also met amazing poor people and amazing rich people. The boy thought for a moment. And the guy funding all this, what kind is he? William smiled. Why don't you ask him yourself? Then he motioned for Tyler to join them. The boy eyed him warily but didn't run off. This is Tyler, William said. Tyler, this is Jason. He's got some questions for you. Jason stayed silent, clearly uncomfortable. Ask me anything, Tyler said gently. Why are you doing this? Jason finally asked. Because I've learned that helping others is the only thing that truly makes me happy. But are you making money off this? I hope I don't lose money, Tyler chuckled. But if I do make any, it'll go right back into the school. What if I study here and still can't get a job? William and Tyler exchanged a glance. Jason, William said, you will get a job. I'm sure of it. But you know why? Why? Because you asked the right question. Someone who worries about the future before even starting classes is someone who'll go far. Jason smiled for the first time since arriving. Can I sign up for the electronics course? Of course, Tyler said. Classes start Monday. As Jason walked off to talk to his mum about enrolling, Tyler reflected on how completely his life had changed. 6 months ago, his biggest worry was saving his app company. Now his greatest joy was watching a teenager choose to invest in his own future. William, Tyler said, can I ask you something personal? Go ahead. Have you really forgiven me, completely? William looked at him warmly. Tyler, you weren't responsible for your father's choices. But even if you had been, yes, I've forgiven you completely. How do you do that? Forgive someone who hurt you? Because I've learned that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only hurts the one holding it. But it wasn't easy, was it? Not at all. Took me years to get there, but it was worth it. Look where we are now. Tyler glanced around. The institute was thriving, full of life and possibility. Students laughed and chatted excitedly. Teachers explained things with passion. Whole families celebrated new opportunities. William, I have a proposal for you. What proposal? I want you to be the executive director of the institute. I'll remain as board president, but you'll manage everything. Tyler, are you sure? Absolutely. This project is your dream, your creation. I just provided the financial support. You're the one who should lead. William was moved. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for teaching me how to start fresh. Later that afternoon, as the last visitors were leaving, Tyler and William stayed behind at the institute, admiring the space they had built together. You know what amazes me the most about all this? Tyler said. What? How everything fell into place. It's as if the universe was waiting for us to meet so this could happen. It wasn't the universe, Tyler. It was hard work, dedication, and the will to make a difference. And a little luck too, don't you think? William smiled. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and we were prepared. 6 months after the opening, the Fresh Start Institute had already graduated its first class of technicians. All 25 graduates secured jobs even before commencement. Jason, the skeptical young man from the first day, was hired by the logistics company of Tyler's former client as a technical assistant in automation. "Professor William," Jason said at the graduation ceremony, "you were right. I got a job, and I'm going to keep studying at night for my engineering degree." "I knew you'd go far," William replied proudly. Tyler's app company had finally gone completely under, but he realized he didn't mind. He had found something far more fulfilling. Now he devoted all his time to the institute, which already had a waiting list for the next semesters and expansion plans for other communities. "Tyler," Jennifer said one evening during a family dinner, "I've never seen you so fulfilled." "It's because I finally found my purpose," he replied. "I'm so glad you met William," Emma remarked. "Actually, sweetheart, I think he found me." The following Sunday, Tyler visited William at his new home. With his salary as the institute's director, William had managed to rent a small but comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood. "Very different from the mansion you had 20 years ago," Tyler commented. "Very different. But you know what? I'm happier now." "How can you be sure?" "Because now I sleep peacefully. I don't have to worry about hurting someone to achieve my success. I don't have to look in the mirror and pretend I don't see who I really am." They were in the small backyard, drinking beer and watching Rachel play with William's 3-year-old granddaughter. "William, can I ask you one last question?" "Of course." "That first day when I rudely tossed you the car keys, what went through your mind?" William laughed. "I thought you were exactly like I was at your age, arrogant, lost, thinking the world owed me something. And I thought, this kid's going to learn the hard way, just like I did." "Did you already know you'd teach me something?" "I didn't. But I hoped you'd be open to learning. And if I hadn't been, then the lesson would have been different. Sometimes we learn the easy way, sometimes the hard way. But we always learn." At that moment, Tyler fully understood William's wisdom. Life had brought them together not by chance, but because they both needed what the other had to offer. William needed a chance to start fresh, and Tyler needed to learn what truly mattered in life. A year after the Fresh Start Institute opened, Richard Wells showed up again. But this time he didn't come with threats or shady proposals. He came with his teenage son. "William," Richard said, visibly uncomfortable, "my son wants to study at your institute." "Of course you can," William answered without hesitation. "Registrations are open." "Even after everything that happened between us?" William looked at Richard calmly. "Richard, a father's mistakes are not his son's responsibility. Besides, everyone deserves a second chance." Tyler watched the scene with admiration. Once again, William demonstrated a generosity of spirit that seemed boundless. After Richard and his son left, Tyler remarked, "You never cease to amaze me." "Why?" "Even after everything he did against us, you accepted his son into the institute." "Tyler, if I start deciding who can or can't study based on what their parents did, where does that end? Besides, maybe the boy will grow up differently than his father. And if he doesn't, then at least I'll have done my part. The rest isn't my responsibility." 2 years after its opening, the Fresh Start Institute had become a national benchmark for technical education in underserved communities. Tyler and William received invitations from across the country to replicate their model in other cities. "It's time to expand," Tyler said during a meeting with the entire team. "Are you sure?" Rachel asked. "Wouldn't it be better to strengthen what we have here first?" "What do you all think?" William asked the other teachers. The discussion lasted for hours. In the end, they decided to start small, opening just one more location in a small town outside New York City. "I'll need someone to go there and oversee the setup," William said. "I'll go," Tyler volunteered immediately. "Are you sure? It'll be about 6 months away from New York City." "I'm sure it's time for me to apply everything I've learned from you." Jennifer supported her husband's decision. And Emma, who had graduated in marketing and now managed the Institute's communications, chose to accompany her father on the project. The 6 months away were transformative for Tyler. He put into practice everything he had learned about servant leadership, listening to the community's needs, and building bridges instead of walls. When he returned to New York City, William noticed a change in him. "You've grown even more," he remarked. "I learned that teaching is the best way to learn," Tyler replied. "Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for accepting the challenge." Today, 5 years after that first arrogant encounter in the building's lobby, Tyler and William oversee a network of institutes that has trained over 1,000 technicians and operates in 10 cities across the United States. Tyler never wanted to return to the world of apps and startups. William never had to work as a doorman again, but he kept a uniform stored in his office closet. "Why do you keep that?" Tyler once asked, noticing the uniform. "To remind me where I came from and what truly matters," William replied. One Friday afternoon, the two stood in the original institute watching a new class of students begin their first electronics lesson. Among them was Richard Wells's son, now one of the top students in the group. "William," Tyler said, "do you remember what you said on opening day? That sometimes you have to lose everything to discover what truly matters." "I remember." "You were right. I had to lose my company to find my purpose. You had to lose your company to become an educator. And together, we turned our losses into gains for hundreds of others." William smiled and placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. "You know the best part of all this, Tyler." "What?" "We're still just getting started." At that moment, Jason, the once skeptical former student who now worked as an automation technician and studied engineering at night, appeared at the institute. "Professor William, Professor Tyler," he called excitedly. "I have news." "What news?" the two asked. "I got a full scholarship to finish my engineering degree at a private university, and you know what the selection criteria was." "What?" "Social project. I presented a plan to create a technical institute in my community based on your model. They loved it." Tyler and William exchanged glances and smiled. The circle was coming full circle. Their former students now wanted to replicate the model, multiplying the impact far beyond what they had ever imagined. "Jason," said William, "you have our full support." "And our experience too," added Tyler. When Jason left, Tyler reflected on the journey they had taken. "William, do you remember when you told me that doing good could be strategically smart?" "I do." "You were right. We helped people, and now those people want to help others. It's a self-sustaining movement. Because kindness breeds kindness, Tyler. It's always been that way." That evening, Tyler returned home with a heart full of gratitude. He found Jennifer in the kitchen, preparing dinner. "How was your day?" she asked, as she did every night. "Extraordinary," he replied, as he had every night for the past 5 years. "What was special today?" "Jason got a scholarship to finish his engineering degree, and he wants to open an institute in his community." "That's wonderful. Our boy is growing up." Jennifer always referred to the institute's former students as our boys and girls. She had adopted the project as if it were part of the family. During dinner, Emma shared that she had received a job offer from a multinational company. "But I'm going to turn it down," she said. "Why?" asked Tyler. "It's a good opportunity. Because I've found my place at the institute. I don't want to do marketing to sell products people don't need. I want to do marketing to promote education that changes lives." Tyler smiled with pride. His daughter had inherited not only his professional skills, but also his new values. "I'm sure it's the right decision, sweetheart." The following Sunday, as they did every month, Tyler and William's families gathered for lunch. It was a tradition that had started spontaneously and was now one of the most anticipated moments for everyone. Rachel brought her daughter, who at 8 years old already talked about becoming a teacher like Grandpa William. Jennifer and Rachel's wife, who had become close friends, prepared lunch together. Emma played with the little girl in the backyard. "Look at this table," William said to Tyler as they watched the family gathering. "Who would have thought it all started with you rudely tossing me your car keys? Who would have thought the doorman I humiliated would become my best friend and greatest teacher? Life is funny like that. It's not funny, William. It's fair. It took a while, but justice arrived. You got the recognition you deserved. I learned the lessons I needed. And together we're making a difference in people's lives. You're right. And you know what else? What? We still have a lot of work ahead of us. Tyler laughed. Always the optimist. Always the realist. There are so many people out there who need a second chance, just like we did. At that moment, looking at the two families gathered, at the children's joy and the adults' contentment, Tyler realized he had found something he never knew he was searching for, a legacy that would last far beyond his own life. William, Tyler said, thank you. For what? For showing me that true success isn't in what we achieve for ourselves, but in what we achieve for others. And thank you for giving me the chance to start fresh. We gave each other that chance, William, and we keep giving it every day. As the sun set over New York City, the two families remained gathered, planning new projects, sharing stories of former students, and dreaming of a future where more people would have access to opportunities for growth and development. From the arrogant young businessman who humiliated a doorman to the passionate educator who dedicated his life to transforming others' lives, Tyler had walked a journey of redemption he never imagined possible. And it had all begun with an encounter that seemed like just another moment of arrogance, but turned out to be the start of one of the most transformative friendships of their lives. William, in turn, had proven that true greatness isn't about never falling, but about how we rise after the fall. And more importantly, how we use our experience of falling to help others rise too. Today, the Fresh Start Institute is much more than a technical school. It's a symbol that everyone deserves a second chance, that education can transform realities, and that when people of goodwill come together for a cause greater than themselves, there's no limit to the good they can do. And it all started with a silver Tesla, a humble doorman, and an arrogant businessman who learned that true luxury in life isn't about what we possess, but what we're able to give. The end. Now, tell us what you thought of this story of transformation and perseverance. Do you believe Tyler made the right decision by investing everything in the Fresh Start Institute? Do you know someone who went through a similar transformation? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other inspiring stories like this one.